All right, so we're going to pick up where we left off. This is part three, the one sent who gathers the unripe figs. Let's look at this. We have Oholiba and we have Oholah. These are the two sisters, right? Both houses. Oholah, he was known as the bigger sister because she represents Samaria as a larger kingdom or a larger tent. And when we talk about her inheritance, is land. So this is important. We got to know these things when we start. This helps too when we get to the New Testament a lot. You guys are going to see this. So we're looking at Joseph and Samaria, meaning she set up her own worship system. You see what I'm saying? This is what she did. This is why her tent is so large. She has her own tent, but in the future, this is going to be her inheritance. Is going to be the land. But again, we got to get an understanding of this. So because see, we know that Samaria was the ones that what they had the two golden calves, and they did a lot of weird stuff. They was always doing weird stuff, worshiping all these people, and they became the Gentiles, as we're gonna see. That's why that word Gentile is very, very important. You got to understand who is who. So I'm talking about in the New Testament. Her lovers were Assyria and Egypt. And we're going to read this. We got a lot of reading to do today. Aholah's inheritance is land. The northern kingdom, Israel, received the majority of the land. The birthright blessings, First Chronicles chapter 5, verse 1 and 2. A double portion. Because why? Because she is the first. Joseph became the firstborn after Reuben went up on his father's couch. The material inheritance. For Judah prevailed above his brethren, and of him came the chief ruler, but the birthright was Joseph. So the firstborn or the birthright is everything, as we already know. Ephraim and Manasseh dominate the land inheritance. The prophets speak of Israel's land restoration. The lost sheep of Israel theme is tied to territory. So when people I remember years ago, we were like, well, see, he didn't come to nobody. That's what we was taught. He didn't come to nobody else. He only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. Okay, but if you Judah, was he sent to you? We're gonna find out. I mean, it's not like Judah was excluded, but these are the lost sheep that he came to find. And we're gonna see that as we keep rolling. This is important because a lot of Hebrews out here, they just do not want anybody else to have salvation, and everybody else is Esau. Or you have some, they know that the nations got it, but they want to pick the nations. Like they want to say the Mexicans, the Indians, this. No, we're going to see that's not even right. Let's keep it moving. Because Judah saved Joseph, Judah received the scepter. So this is how he prevailed. See, Genesis 37 shows the moment everything shifts. The brothers want to kill Joseph. Reuben tries to save him secretly, but Judah steps up and publicly and says, let us not kill him, let us sell him. Judah's intervention stops murder, preserves Joseph's life, keeps the covenant line intact, set up Joseph's future salvation role, keeps the family from blood guilt. Joseph is one of the strongest prophetic shadow pictures of Hamashiach in the entire Torah. Joseph's life is the pattern of rejection, suffering, exaltation, salvation, and restoration. And we got a small little quick class we put together on this so you can see exactly how much they was like. It was like mirrored. So and reunification, right? Because remember, he saved his family. All right, let's keep it moving. Let's look at Oholiba now, with Judah, right? So Judah represents it's the same house now. You have you have the house of Israel and you have the house of Judah. So Judah, they get the priesthood. The priesthood goes along with them, right? The royal scepter. She was known as the little sister because of the smaller kingdom. Jerusalem equals the tent within. The meaning Elohim's sanctuary, priesthood, and kingship remain with her, right? And then we also have the last participant of the house, which is Benjamin. And her lovers were Assyria, Chaldea, and Egypt. And I made them like warriors because when the Mashiach come, he came this time lowly and seemed like he was weak. When he comes back, he's gonna be the mightiest warrior. So let's keep moving. Right? So Olabal's inheritance equals a scepter plus priesthood. The southern kingdom Judah received. Genesis 49 and 10. The scepter shall not depart from Judah. We know that was the prophecy that was given to them. In Genesis chapter 49, Judah holds the Davidic kingship, the messianic lineage, and the royal authority. So the priesthood temple plus the Levites. Jerusalem holds the temple, the Levitical priesthood, the sacrificial system, the covenant center. Even though Levi is a separate tribe, their priesthood is housed in Judah's territory. So Oholiba equals the scepter plus the priesthood. After the Hebron incident, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi function as one house, the house of the scepter and priesthood. So if you really want to understand what was going on, you have to go back and, like we always do, and do some reading. But John the Baptist stands in that house announcing the king and calling the land inheritance Israel back into covenant. So this is what this was all about. Because remember, after the Babylonian captivity, Judah came back. They was in Jerusalem. They understood what was going on. The temple was there. They had all these things. But we're gonna see Levi. Uh, Joseph. He was lost. So the daughters of the same mother, Israel, Ezekiel 16. We're going to read that. Ezekiel chapter 23. These are the two chapters if you want to get the understanding. So let's start out like this. The word of Yahuwah came again unto me, saying, Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and there they bruised the teats of their virginity. And the names of them were Oholah the elder, and Oholibah her sister, and they were mine. And they bare sons and daughters. Thus were their names. Samaria is Oholah, and Jerusalem is Oholibah. So let's keep it moving. Now you remember it was one mother, but then everything split. The argument. You know what I mean? So that's how they became two. Again, the word of Yahuwah came unto me, saying, Son of man, cause Jerusalem to know her abominations, and say, Thus says Yahuwah Elohim unto Jerusalem, Thy birth and thy nativity is of the land of Canaan. Thy father was an Amorite, and thy mother a Hittite. And as for thy nativity, in the day thou wast born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thou washed in water to supple thee. Thou was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. So it was just like finding a baby thrown in a trash can, basically. None I pitied thee to do any of these unto thee, to have compassion upon thee, but thou wast cast out in the open field to the loathing of thy person in the day that thou was born. And when I passed by thee and saw thee polluted in thine own blood, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live. Yea, I said unto thee, when thou wast in thy blood, live. I have caused thee to multiply as the bud of the field. Thou hast increased and waxen great, and thou art come to excellent ornaments. Thy breasts are fashioned, and thy hair is grown. Now she's ungrowed up, whereas thou wast naked and bare. Now when I passed by thee, I looked upon thee. Behold, thy time was a time of love. I spread my skirt over thee and covered thy nakedness. Yea, I swear unto thee and entered into a covenant with thee, says Yahuwah Elohim, and thou becamest mine. Then washed I thee with water. Yea, I thoroughly washed away the blood from thee, and I anointed thee with oil. I clothed thee also with broidered work. So back then, you got to understand, broidered work, that was in ancient times, that was like some the bougie thing, you know what I mean? Like the upper crust type of clothes. And shod thee with badger skin, right? That's like having a meat coat on. And I girded thee about with fine linen. and covered thee with silk. I decked thee also with ornaments, and I put bracelets upon thy hands, and a chain on thy neck. I put a jewel on thy forehead, and earrings in thy ears, and a beautiful crown upon thy head. Thus wast thou decked with gold and silver, and thy raiment was of fine linen, and silk, and broidered work. Thou didst eat fine flour, and honey, and oil, and thou wast exceedingly beautiful. And thou didst prosper into a kingdom, and thy renown went forth among the heathen for thy beauty, for it was perfect through my comeliness which I had put upon thee, says Yahuwah Elohim. So here it is. He gave her the finest foods to eat, the best of everything, right? But this is going to be kind of long because we got to understand. You got to understand that all of us up here have spouses. And if your spouse went out and did you wrong, this is how he's feeling. So this is where the anger comes from and these curses come from on Israel. But they just refuse to believe it. But it's here. It's all here. And as for thy nativity in the day that thou was born, thy navel was not cut, neither was thy washed in water to supple thee. I was not salted at all, nor swaddled at all. None I pitied thee to do any of these things unto thee, to have compassion upon thee, but thou was cast out in an open field to the loathing of thy person in the day that thou was born. Ezekiel 16, but thou didst trust in thine own beauty, and played the harlot because of thy renown, and pourest out thy fornications on everyone that passed by. His it was. So you came by, he just said, oh, you can go ahead and do what you got to do, because he was ready. And of thy garments thou did take the clothes that he put on her, all the fine, beautiful things. She took them and decorated the high places with diverse colors. So she took all the ornaments and everything that he had made images and all these things out of. And played the harlot thereupon. The like thing shall not come, neither shall it be so. Thou hast also taken out fair jewels of my gold and of my silver, which I had given thee, and madest thyself images of men, and didst commit whoredoms with them, and tookest thy broidered garments and covered them, and thou hast set mine oil and mine incense before them. My meat also is, set up an altar with this stuff, and burning incense with it. My meat also which I gave thee, fine flour, oil, and honey, wherewith I fed thee, thou hast even set it before them for a sweet savor. So she sacrificed unto these images. And thus it was, says Yahuwah Elohim. Moreover, thou hast taken thy sons and thy daughters, whom thou hast borne unto me, and these hast thou sacrificed unto them to be devoured. And this of thy whoredoms a small matter, that thou hast slain my children and delivered them to cause them to pass through the fire for them. Right? We know about Molech and all thine abominations and thy whoredoms. Thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, when thou was naked and bare and was polluted in blood. So you would feel like he would just go ahead and get rid of her. Let me get rid of this girl. She a hoe. And it came to pass after thy wickedness, woe, woe unto thee, says Yahuwah Elohim, that thou hast also built unto thee an eminent place, and hast made thee a high place in every street. Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be abhorred, and hast opened thy feet to everyone that passed by, and multiplied thy whoredoms. And so that was kind of heavy because we know that's kind of like when you come into the city or whatever. Instead of having the Ten Commandments there, she gonna you see what I'm saying? They was full of idol worship, full of it. Thou hast built thy high place at every head of the way, and hast made thy beauty to be hated, and hast opened thy feet to every one that passed by, and multiplied thy whoredoms. Thou hast also committed fornication with the Egyptians thy neighbors, great of flesh, and hast increased thy whoredoms to provoke me to anger. Behold, therefore I have stretched out my hand over thee, and have diminished thine ordinary food, and delivered thee into the will of them that hate me, the daughters of the Philistines, which are ashamed of thy lewd ways. Now we know that the Philistines, they was like abominable. But even he was so nasty, they was even ashamed. You understand? Thou hast played a whore also with the Assyrians, because thou wast unsatiable. But she a freak, she a nymphomaniac. Yea, thou hast played the harlot with them, and yet couldst not be satisfied. Thou hast moreover multiplied thy fornication in the land of Canaan unto Chaldea, and yet thou wast not satisfied herewith. How weak is thine heart, says Yahweh Elohim, seeing thou doest all these things, the work of an imperious, whorish woman, in that thou buildest thine eminent place in the head of every way, and makest thy high place in every street, and has not been as an harlot, and that thou scornest hire. You only look, she don't even care about being a whole right and get paid. But as a wife that committed adultery, would take of strangers instead of her husband. They gave gifts to all whores, but thou givest thy gift to all thy lovers, and hired them that they may come into thee on every side for thy whoredom. So instead of her getting paid, she paying them because she insatiable. And the contrary is in thee from other women in thy whoredom, whereas none follows thee to commit whoredoms. And in that thou givest a reward, and no reward is given to thee, therefore thou art contrary. Wherefore, hardly hear the word of Yahuwah. Thus says Yahuwah Elohim, because thy filthiness was poured out, and thy nakedness discovered through thy whoredoms with thy lovers, and with all the idols of thy abominations, and by the blood of thy children, which thou didst give unto them. Behold, therefore I will gather all thy lovers with whom thou hast taken pleasure, and all them that thou hast loved, with all them that thou hast hated. I will even gather them round about against thee, and will discover thy nakedness unto them, that they may see all thy nakedness. And so we see why these different captivities has been happening, and even today, because we still doing the same things. I mean, we up under this spell of Esau, because when you really start looking at everything that what they call our culture, it's given to us by rich people that pay athletes, pay rappers, pay and other entertainers to entertain you and keep you not focused on Yahweh. That's the whole plan. If we can keep them away from coming back and repenting, then it's a wrap. As long as Israel stays in this position, we can rule the earth forever, because they know once Israel wakes up, like it's what in other words, once Israel's kingdom is here, that's it. Everybody else's kingdom is vanished, and their kingdom is going to be forever. So why would I want you to wake up and rule anything? That's the whole thing. But they read these same things that we do. And I would judge thee as a woman that break wedlock and shed blood are judged. And I will give thee blood and fury and jealousy, and I will also give thee into their hand, and they shall throw down thine eminent place, and shall break down thy high places. They shall strip thee also of thy clothes, and shall take their fair jewels. And we see the Assyrians did that. We see that the Nebuchadnezzar of the Babylonians, they did all these, and leave thee naked and bare. They shall also bring up a company against thee, and they shall stone thee with stones, and thrust thee through with their swords. And they shall burn thy houses with fire, and execute judgment upon thee in the sight of many women. And I will cause thee to cease from playing the harlot, and thou also shalt give no hire any more. So will I make my fury toward thee to rest, and my jealousy shall depart from me. And I will be quiet, and will be no more angry, because thou hast not remembered the days of thy youth, but hast fretted me in all these things. Behold, therefore I also will recompense thy way upon thine head, says Yahweh Elohim. Thou shalt not commit this lewdness above thine abominations. Behold, everyone that uses proverbs shall use this proverb against thee, saying, as is the mother, so is the daughter. Thou art thy mother's daughter that loatheth her husband and her children, and thou art the sister of thy sisters, which loathe their husband and their children. Your mother was a Hittite, and your father an Amorite. And thine eldest sister is Samaria, she and her daughters that dwell at the left hand. And thy younger sister that dwelleth at the right hand is Sodom and her daughters. Yet hast thou not walked after their ways, nor done after their abominations, but as if that were a very little thing. Thou was corrupted more than they in all thy ways. So because you didn't do a couple of these things, you still worse than theirs. As I live, says Yahweh Elohim. Sodom thy sister has not done, she nor her daughters, as thou hast done. thou and thy daughters. Behold, this was the iniquity of thy sister Sodom. Pride, fullness of bread, and abundance of idleness was in her and in her daughters. Neither did she strengthen the hand of the poor or the needy. Let's keep moving. So, yeah, y'all talking a lot, so you can tell he's upset. And they were haughty and committed abomination before me. Therefore I took them away as I saw good. Right? Because we know what Sodom did. Neither has Samaria committed half of thy sins, but thou hast multiplied thine abominations more than they, and hast justified thy sisters in all thine abominations which thou hast done. Thou also, which hast judged thy sisters, bear thine own shame for thy sins that thou hast committed, more abominable than they. They are more righteous than thou. Yea, be thou confounded also, and bear thy shame, in that thou hast justified thy sisters. When I shall bring again their captivity, the captivity of Sodom and her daughters, and the captivity of Samaria and her daughters, then will I bring again the captivity of thy captives in the midst of them, that thou mayest bear thine own shame, and mayest be confounded in all that thou hast done, and that thou art a comfort unto them. When thy sister Sodom and her daughters shall return to their former state, and Samaria and her daughters shall return to their former estate, then thou and thy daughter shall return to your former estate. For thy sister Sodom was not mentioned by thy mouth in the day of thy pride, before thy wickedness was discovered, as at the time of thy reproach of the daughters of Syria, and all that are round about her, the daughters of the Philistines, which despise thee round about. Thou hast borne thy lewdness and thine abomination, says Yahuwah. But thus says Yahuwah Elohim, I will even deal with thee as thou hast done, which hast despised the oath in breaking the covenant. Nevertheless, I will remember my covenant. We see how y'all gets down. Even though we do whatever we think we want to do, right? But guess what? He still remembers his word. He'll never go against that. So he says, nevertheless, I will remember my covenant with thee in the days of thy youth, and I will establish unto thee an everlasting covenant. Then thou shalt remember thy ways and be ashamed when thou shalt receive thy sisters, thine elder and thy younger, and I will give them unto thee for daughters, but not by thy covenant. I will establish my covenant with thee, and thou shalt know that I am Yahuwah, that thou mayest remember and be confounded, and never open thy mouth any more because of thy shame, when I am pacified toward thee for all that thou hast done, says Yahuwah Elohim. Okay, let's keep it moving. Ezekiel 23. And Oholah played the harlot when she was mine, and she doted on her lovers, on the Assyrians her neighbors, which were clothed with blue, captains and rulers, and all of them desirable young men, horsemen, riding upon horses. Thus she committed whoredoms with them, with all them that were the chosen men of Assyria, and with all on whom she doted. With all their idols she defiled herself. Neither left she her whoredoms brought from Egypt. For in her youth they lay with her, and they bruised the breast of her virginity, and poured their whoredoms upon her. Wherefore I have delivered her into the hand of her lovers, into the hand of the Assyrians, upon whom she doted. These discovered her nakedness. They took her sons and her daughters and slew her with the sword, and she became famous among women, for they had executed judgment upon her. And when her sister Oholiba saw this, she was more corrupt in her inordinate love than she, and in her whoredoms more than her sister in whoredom. She doted upon the Assyrian neighbors, captains and rulers, clothed most gorgeously, horsemen riding upon horses, all of them desirable young men. And I saw that she was defiled, that they took both one way, and that she increased her whoredom. But when she saw men portrayed upon the wall, the image of the Chaldeans portrayed with vermilion, girded with girdles upon their loins, exceeding in dyed attire upon their heads, all of them princes to look to, after the manner of the Babylonians of Chaldea, the land of their nativity. And as soon as she saw them with her eyes, she doted upon them, and sent messengers into the Chaldeans. And the Babylonians came to her into the bed of love, and they defiled her with their whoredom. And she was polluted with them, and her mind was alienated from them. So she discovered her whoredoms and discovered her nakedness. Then my mind was alienated from her, like as my mind was alienated from her sister. Yet she multiplied her whoredoms and calling to remembrance the days of her youth, wherein she played a harlot in the land of Egypt. For she doted upon their paramours, whose flesh is as the flesh of asses, and whose issue is like the issue of horses. Thus thou callest to remembrance the lewdness of thy youth, and bruising thy teeth by the Egyptians for the paps of thy youth. So we see these two sisters, boy, they something else. Therefore, O Oholiba, thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, I will raise up thy lovers against thee, from whom thy mind is alienated, and I will bring them against thee on every side. The Babylonians and all the Chaldeans, Pekod, Shoa, and Koa, and all the Assyrians with them, all of them desirable young men, captains, rulers, great lords, and renowned, all of them riding upon horses. And they shall come against thee with chariots, wagons, and wheels, and with all assembly of people, which shall set against thee buckler and shield and helmet round about. And I will set judgment before them, and they shall judge thee according to their judgment. And I will set my jealousy against thee, and they shall deal furiously with thee. They shall take away thy nose and thy ear and thine ears, so take them jewels out your nose and your ear, and thy remnant shall fall by the sword. They shall take thy sons and thy daughters, and thy residue shall be devoured by fire. Because we know all these things happened when the Babylonians came. They shall also strip thee out of thy clothes, and take away thy fair jewels. Thus will I make thy lewdness to cease from thee, and thy whoredom brought from the land of Egypt, so that thou shalt not lift up thine eyes unto them, nor remember Egypt any more. For thus says Yahweh Elohim, behold, I will deliver thee into the hand of them whom thou hatest, and to the hand of them from whom thy mind is alienated. And they shall deal with thee hatefully, and shall take away thy labor, and shall leave thee naked and bare, and the nakedness of thy whoredom shall be discovered, both thy lewdness and thy whoredoms. And so we can see some of these remnants and some of this residue on the people today, right? But see, because that's why when you look at everything, what do you see? I mean, everybody always flashing money. Everybody, I mean, it's just, I don't know, it's crazy. But this is what we see. Everybody got to have the biggest car. Everybody got to have the biggest this, the best that. And then when you look around where Israel lives, it's total pieces. I don't even want to get started with that. But I'm just saying, we see it. This is not a mystery. I will do these things unto thee because thou hast gone a whoring after the heathen, and because thou art polluted with their idols. This is what's happening right now. Thou hast walked in the way of thy sister, therefore will I give her cup into thine hand. Thus says Yahweh Elohim, thou shalt drink of thy sister's cup deep and large. Thou shalt be laughed to scorn and had in derision. It containeth much. Thou shalt be filled with drunkenness and sorrow, with the cup of astonishment and desolation, with the cup of thy sister Samaria. Thou shalt even drink it and suck it down. Thou shalt break the sherds thereof, and pluck off thine own breast. For I have spoken it, says Yahweh Elohim. Therefore, thus says Yahweh Elohim, because thou hast forgotten me and cast me behind thy back. Therefore bear thou also thy lewdness and thy whoredoms. Yahuwah said moreover unto me, Son of man, wilt thou judge Oholah and Oholibah? Yea, declaring unto them their abomination, that they have committed adultery, and blood is in their hands. And with their idols have they committed adultery, and have also caused their sons, whom they bear unto me, to pass from them through the fire, to devour them. Moreover, this they have done unto me. They have defiled my sanctuary in the same day, and have profaned my Sabbath. For when they had slain their children to their idols, then they came the same day into my sanctuary to profane it. And lo, thus have they done in the midst of mine house, and furthermore, that you have sent for men to come from afar, unto whom a messenger was sent, and lo, they came for whom they didst wash thyself, painted thine eyes, and decked thyself with ornaments, and sat upon a stately bed, and a table prepared before it, whereupon thou hast set mine incense and mine oil, and a voice of multitude being at ease was with her. That's very important. And with the men of the common sort were brought Sabaeans from the wilderness, which put bracelets upon thy hand, and beautiful crowns upon their heads. Then said I unto her that was old in adulteries. So she been doing this a long time. She old in adulteries. Will they now commit whoredoms with her, and she with them? Yet they went in unto her, as they go into a woman that playeth the harlot. So went they into Oholah and unto Oholibah, the lewd woman, and the righteous men. They shall judge them after the manner of adulteresses, and after the manner of women that shed blood, because they are adulteresses, and blood is in their hand. For thus saith Yahweh Elohim, I will bring up a company upon them, and will give them to be removed and spoiled, and the company shall stone them with stones, and dispatch them with swords. They shall slay their sons and their daughters, and burn up their houses with fire. Thus will I cause lewdness to cease out of the land, and all women may be taught not to do after your lewdness. And they shall recompense your lewdness upon you, and you shall bear the sins of your idols, and you shall know that I am Yahweh Elohim. So we can see that both houses is definitely sick, even to this day. So Deuteronomy 30:4, if any of thine be driven out into the utmost parts of the heaven, from thence will Yahweh thy Elohim will gather thee, and from thence will he fetch thee. And he said, it is a light thing, Isaiah 49, that thou shouldest be my servant to raise up the tribes of Jacob, and to restore the preserved of Israel. I also will give thee for a light to the Gentiles, that thou mayest be my salvation unto the end of the earth. So we see, here comes HaMashiach, right? Because remember, he said, nevertheless, I'm going to keep my covenant. So again, you always have a remnant of Israel that's doing what they're supposed to be doing, along with the stranger. They always are. He always has a remnant. So these are the ones he's talking about. All right? These are the ones he's talking about gathering. Let's keep it moving. So the coming of the breaker. So we remember who that was from last week. So we also got to get into the prophet of the highest. John the Baptist, the Malik Sadikah. Right? Luke 1 and 57. Now Elizabeth's full time came that she should be delivered, and she brought forth a son. And her neighbors and her cousins heard how Yahuwah had showed great mercy upon her, and they rejoiced with her. And it came to pass that on the 8th day they came to circumcise the child. So we see that they still follow the commandments, and they called him Zachariah after the name of his father. And his mother answered and said, nope, not so, but he shall be called John. And they said unto her, there is none of thy kindred that is called by this name. And they made signs to the father how he would have him called. And he asked for a writing table, because remember, his mouth was shut, and wrote, saying, his name is John. And they marveled all, and his mouth was opened immediately, and his tongue loose, and he spake and praised Elohim. And fear came on all that dwelt round about them. And all these things were noised abroad throughout all the hill of Judea. And all that heard them laid them up in their minds, saying, what manner of child shall this be? And the hand of Yahuwah was with him. Uh-oh. We know what that means. And his father Zechariah was filled with the Ruach, and prophesied, saying, blessed be Yahuwah Elohim of Israel, for he has visited, very important word, and redeemed his people, and has raised up a horn for salvation for us in the house of his servant. So we know horns always represent power, as he spake by the mouth of his holy prophets, which have been since the world began, that we should be saved from our enemies. Let's look at this. And from the hand of them that hate all of us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant. This is why they had the distractions in place, because they know once you do this, if Israel, oh my goodness, the oath which he swore to our father Abraham, that he would grant unto us that we being delivered out of the hand of our enemies. Because a lot of us still think that America loves us, or England, or UK, but I mean, no matter what they do, this is crazy. Might serve him without fear. Now, let's look at this. So he said that we should be saved from our enemies and from the hand of all that hate us, to perform the mercy promised to our fathers, and to remember his holy covenant, the oath which he swore to our father Abraham. that he would grant us that we, being delivered out of the hand of our enemies, okay, that we might serve him without fear, in holiness and righteousness before him all the days of our life. So we see this is the condition. And again, this is why they trying to keep us away from coming back to the covenant. Long they can keep you out there with booty shaking, and it's just so much stuff going on. It's sad. It's just sad. So to remember his holy covenant, that we might serve him without fear. Covenant memory equals conditional faithfulness. See, you do this, I'll do that. Elohim will act on his covenant promises when the covenant people stand in their covenant posture. So this is what we have to do if we want this all this craziness that's about to come on us to be over with. Luke 1:72 through 75 is echoing Exodus language. Elohim remembers, Elohim delivers, people serve, or the people rebel, Elohim delivers, covenant blessings. So this is what it is. If you rebel, the blessings gonna pause. If you do what you gotta do, then y'all gonna remember you. And now we got proof of that this morning, right? Got good news from Sister Kim and Brother Noel. Let's keep moving. This is what it takes. The condition hidden in the text. He remembers his covenant. He rescues us from our enemies so that we might serve him in holiness and righteousness. These are the words that these two words had. Everything these words point back to covenant every time. Elohim remembering leads to deliverance, but deliverance is meant to be lead to obedience. If obedience doesn't follow, the covenant cycle resets. John's entire ministry is built on this covenant condition. This is what he was. Let's keep moving so we can see what else he had to do. So we can get a better understanding. If Israel repents, Elohim will act, the king will appear, the covenant will be renewed. Right? He is restoring covenant alignment. John is preparing the people for covenant fulfillment. John is calling Israel back into the serve him with fear posture. John is clearing the conditions for the king's arrival. Get back in covenant order. The king is at the door. Let's keep it moving. But see, John is literally calling Israel back into the posture required for Elohim to remember and to act. So just like the Sister Kim was saying, she reminded y'all of his goodness and his mercy, right? And then look at all the miracles. Well, we know it's not miracles, it's by the hand of Yah, but we see that everything comes to fruition. It's right there. So Elohim's covenant remembrance is activated when his people return to covenant obedience. And John the Baptist was sent to restore that obedience so the king could appear in holiness and righteousness. Okay? Holiness, Greek, it's a Greek word, I am not that good with the Greek. Hostotes, laws, statutes, judgments toward Elohim. It always points back to this, right? Because we got to have the faith of Mashiach, but we still got to follow the rules. In Torah language, holiness means A, laws, the foundational commandments that define Elohim's character and expectations. B, the statutes, the hukim, the detailed instructions that mark Israel as Elohim's people. Okay? Right? Because remember, he said he was going to put a sign between, this is a sign between me and you. C, judgment, mishpatim, the legal decisions that maintain purity, justice, and order. Holiness equals obedience to Elohim's laws, statutes, and judgments in relation to him. Right? It's another scripture he used, and he's talking about David, because David did it the way I wanted him to do it. That's why he was so beloved, right? We know he had a little hiccups, but who doesn't in his life? But he still repented, and Elohim still put him back and remember the oath that he made with him. Because when we get the new kingdom, we know David's going to be ruler. It's the covenant posture of loyalty, purity, separation, devotion, and alignment. That's the characteristics we're supposed to have. Holiness is Elohim's side of obedience. Now let's look at righteousness. laws, statutes, and judgments toward people. In Torah language, righteousness means A, the moral commands governing how we treat others. B, statutes, the social and ethical boundaries that protect community life. Because at that time we was living it, we knew how to live in a community. Give me one second. And so if I'm living in a community, or the hood, if you want to call it that, and if we was following these rules, then this would be where we live at would be the most desirable place. It wouldn't just be the place where people come to set up stores, take the money, and don't spend no money. And we wouldn't need none of that. See? I mean, everything would be beautiful. Kids could be outside playing without worrying about gunshot. Old people can hold their hands and walk to the store at night. Nobody ain't bothering them. That's why this stuff, but the churches keep telling us that you don't have to do that. So you see what's going on. Well, you don't need the law no more. Okay, but I got to follow the people that holding me captive, my enemy's laws, but I don't have to follow my king's laws. It's crazy. See, judgments, the legal decisions that ensure fairness, justice, and equity. See, righteousness equals obedience to Elohim's laws, statutes, and judgments in relationship to people. Justice, fairness, integrity, right conduct. If we had that, if this world wouldn't be like it is right now. Or even, like I said, even where we live at wouldn't even be like this right now. Righteousness is the human side of obedience. So we see how both of these go hand in hand. Now, together, holiness plus righteousness equals full covenant obedience. Right? Luke 1:75 is saying, serve him in holiness toward Elohim and righteousness toward the people. Okay? That's the entire covenant summarized. It's the whole Torah in two directions. Holiness equals love of Elohim, righteousness equals loving your neighbor. That's what the Mashiach came and said, didn't it? Okay? On these two commandments hang all the law and the prophets. Holiness is covenant obedience toward Elohim. Righteousness is covenant obedience toward people. Together they fulfill the laws, statutes, and judgments, the full covenant. That's what they're trying to keep us away from. And as long as they keep us away from this, then we're going to be looking at chaotic things. More chaotic I mean, it's already been chaotic, but it's even going to get worse. And thou, child, shalt be called the prophet of the highest. Going back, for thou shalt go before the face of the sovereign to prepare his ways, to give knowledge of salvation unto his people by the remission of their sins. Right? How did he do that? When he was immersed, boom, filled with the Ruach. Now they understand. Through the tender mercies of Elohim, whereby the day spring from on high has visited us. The day spring to give light to them that sit in darkness and in the shadow of death, because sin brings death, to guide our feet into the way of peace. And the child grew and waxed strong in spirit and was in the desert till the day of his showing unto Israel. So while he's out here in the desert, y'all grooming him, getting him right. He's strong in the spirit. Now he has to go forth and do what he was created to do. When he was filled with the Ruach from the womb. Wow, that's tough. That's tough. That is hard right there. Ahead of every king travels a forerunner, a messenger whose task is to announce that the sovereign is coming to claim his conquest. John is the ancient herald in covenant form. He is the man who stands between the old order, the new kingdom, the king himself. So all this Pharisaic, Herod type of order that's going on, that's over with. That's basically what he's saying. Right? Because we had to understand how ancient kings used to roll. Right? Everybody up here seen the 300. Right? What did they do? They sent a herald before them. When he got to talk to Phoenix or whatever his name was, they kicked him down and knocked him down a bottomless hole. But he still came to let them know, listen, man, my king is a great king. He's coming to take this place. Now, if you want to go in league with him, you can spare lives. That's basically what they're saying. Claim this territory now belongs to the king. His rule is at hand. This was standard in Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece, because right, that was the Persians that came to take over the Greeks, Rome, every empire. The herald's arrival meant the king was already on the move. In the ancient world, a king never arrived unannounced. Before a king entered a territory, three things always happened. A, a herald was sent ahead. B, this messenger was an optional. He was the king's voice before the king arrived. He carried the king's authority, not his own. All right? Correct your roads, your gates, your conduct. Fix what is out of order. Warn, the king is coming. Prepare yourselves. Claim this territory now belongs to the king. His rule is at hand. This was standard in Assyria, Babylon, Persia, Greece, and Rome. Every empire. The herald's arrival meant the king was already on the move. He's at the door. Here he comes. So the herald's message wasn't soft. He spoke with urgency because the king's arrival meant judgment for rebels, reward for loyal subjects, reorganization of the territory, new laws and new orders, right? The new covenant that's at hand. The herald's voice was the last warning before the king's feet touched the ground. Isaiah 40, a voice crying in the wilderness, prepare the way of Yahuwah, make straight a highway for our Elohim. Isaiah isn't describing a preacher, he's describing the royal forerunner. Well, see, we never looked at it that way. But this is what John was doing, and Hamashiach is the king. So, Malachi 3 and 1, I send my messenger, and he will prepare the way before me. It's already been talked about. John the Baptist steps into that ancient role exactly. Let's look at three ancient heralds. Number one, repent. The kingdom of heaven is at hand. This is the ancient warning cry. The king is approaching. Two, correct. He confronts the Pharisees, the Sadducees, soldiers, tax collectors, and Herod himself. Right? John wasn't no joke. And that's one of my favorite movies. I can't remember which one. It's one of the Mashiach stories when he had him in jail and they had Charlton Heston was playing him and he was talking to Herod right there in the jail. He said, "You lie." Hey, I love that. I don't know. I just like that. And he told him, "I can't wait to see your face when you smell that smoke." He is correcting the roads. The voice of him that crieth in the wilderness. Prepare you the way of Yahuwah. Make straight in the desert a highway for our Elohim. Every valley shall be exalted, every mountain and hill shall be made low, and the crooked shall be made straight, and the rough places plain. And the glory of Yahuwah shall be revealed, and all flesh shall see it together, for the mouth of Yahuwah has spoken it. He is the last voice before the king's footsteps hit the land. I want to keep saying that because I want y'all to get this in your mind. Luke 1 and 15, he shall be filled with the Ruach even from his mother's womb. John was filled with the Ruach in the womb so he could recognize the king before birth. We know he did because what did he tell him? I ain't even worthy to unlatch your shoes. He know who he was. Everybody else is, who is this? Is that Joseph's son? Isn't he the carpenter's son? Right? And we know what had to take place for the rest of them to now, because you had some that understood, even the hoes, the pimps, and the prostitutes. But then the rest of them was blind, restoring covenant obedience in Israel and stands as the spirit empowered hero who prepares the way of Yahweh. So he is correcting the roads, the moral and covenant roads of Israel. John announces the kingdom is at hand. His winnowing fork is in his hand, right? Because now he's going to start separating the wheat from the tares. Every tree not bearing fruit will be cut down. Prepare the way of the sovereign. This is the herald declaring, this territory now belongs to the king. Because we know he had the Pharisees all upset, right? John is not preaching a religion, he is announcing a regime change. So Yasha confirms John's role explicitly. Among those born of women, none is greater than John. Ain't that what he said? Yasha says he is the messenger. He is Elijah who was to come. He prepared the way. John is my royal herald, the king's forerunner. John the Baptist wasn't just a prophet, he was the royal herald announcing the king's arrival, correcting the kingdom, and declaring Elohim's claim over his territory. But this is what these Pharisees and Sadducees was worried about. And then we see Herod try to knock him off when he was first born, right? So they had to flee to Egypt. The great king, grand in presence, noble in appearance, and mighty in power. His renown has no doubt reached you already. Never once defeated. So this is what it basically was saying, like when the heralds be standing outside the gate. This is what they saying. Look, man, you heard about my king. You heard his reputation. He grand in presence. He pretty and strong. Noble in appearance. He got the finest clothes on. And mighty in power. Would do battle with anybody. His renown has no doubt reached you already. Never once defeated in any arena or against any foe, yet compassionate, honest, and true. And so it falls to you to bow before him. Isaiah 40. O Zion, that bringeth good tidings. Get thee up into the high mountain. Ah, O Jerusalem, that bringeth good tidings. Lift up thy voice with strength. Lift it up. Be not afraid. Say unto the cities of Judah, behold your Elohim. Behold, Yahuwah Elohim will come with strong hand, and his arm shall rule for him. Behold, his reward is with him, and his work before him. He shall feed his flock like a shepherd. He shall gather the lambs with his arm, and carry them in his bosom, and shall gently lead those that are with young. Ooh, let's keep it moving. John the Baptist wasn't just a prophet, he was the royal herald announcing the king's arrival, correcting the kingdom, and declaring Yahuwah's claim over his territory and his sheep. He is the last voice before the king's footsteps hit the land. Let's keep moving. So let's look at this. Ezekiel 23, 2 through 5. Oh, bye. So the harlotry, idolatry. Son of man, there were two women, the daughters of one mother, and they committed whoredoms in Egypt. They committed whoredoms in their youth. There were their breasts pressed, and they were bruised, and their teeth of their virginity. Let's come over here and look at Luke 15. And not many days after, the younger son gathered all together and took his journey to a far country, and there wasted his substance with riotous living. So we're trying to show you Ephraim or Joseph here. Just so you see what Israel is doing. So guess what? He was had the same mindset. I'm tired of this. Hey, Father, give me my inheritance. I'm finna leave here. And so he went on took a far journey to a far country. We're gonna see how that lines up. Amos 8 and 11. Behold, the days come, saith Yahuwah Elohim, that I will send a famine in the land, not a famine of bread nor of thirst for water, but of the hearing of Yahuwah's words. We see that here today too, right? Right? Luke 15 and 14, famine Torah. And when he had spent all, there arose a mighty famine in the land, and he began to be in want. Hosea 9 and 3, unclean food, and he joined the nation. They shall not dwell in Yahuwah's land, but Ephraim shall return to Egypt, and they shall eat unclean things in Assyria. And he went and joined himself to a citizen of that country, and he sent him into the fields to feed swine. But remember, he was so hungry, he wanted to eat with the swine. He didn't even care. But he came to his senses. Let's keep it moving. I'm just trying to give you a comparison. From back then to boom, we see the same traits in him. So Yah said, arise, arise, shine, for thy light is come, and the glory of Yahuwah is risen upon thee. For behold, the darkness shall cover the earth, and gross darkness the people, because they was up under the rule of Herod, and they was under the mindset of the Pharisees, right? They the ones that made all trying to do the right thing hard. But Yahuwah shall, they forgot about the original covenant. Now, but Yahuwah shall arise upon thee, and his glory shall be seen upon thee, and the Gentiles shall come to thy light, and the kings to the brightness of thy rise. It's supposed to be like that right now. But what do we see with the nations? They got their hats to the back, they got their pants down, they rapping. I mean, it's everything that we do that we shouldn't be doing. They clinging to us. But if we would do the right thing, they would cling too. But we got it backwards. Excuse me. All right. Now, for there shall be a day that the watchmen upon Mount Ephraim shall cry, Arise ye, and let us go up to Zion and to Yahuwah Elohim. Thou shalt arise and have mercy upon Zion, for the time to favor her. Yea, the set time is come. Luke 15:17. And when he came to himself, he said, How many hired servants of my father have bread enough to spare? I perish with hunger? Nah, I'm gonna rise and go to my father, and will say unto him, Father, I have sinned against heaven and before thee, and am no more worthy to be called thy son. Make me as one of thy hired servants. So this is what he's trying to show you. So here come the lost sheep. They coming back to Jerusalem now. See, but they had a problem. We're going to show you what it's the same thing. We can see the same patterns. Here they is. They coming back. Oh, who are these? These are Gentiles. Now they can't. We going to see this. We going to see this. So, lo, Ami, not my people. Joseph became the nation. Not metaphorically, but literally. Just like we are today. We don't know we Israel. We don't want to know we Israel. Everything that the nations do, we want to do. Right? They got a big house, I want a big house. They got the Bugatti, I want a Bugatti. And I'm willing to do whatever I got to do, even kill my own people to get it. Right? Or get out here and sell their body. What's that little guy we watch with the girls be out there half naked? He's standing there with the expensive car, and they don't want to talk to him because he look like a bum. As soon as he walk back to the car, here they come, begging. I'm telling you, it's all here. So we just like them, just like it was before. It's the same thing. They became Gentile in culture, Gentile in worship, Gentile in lifestyle, Gentile even in identity. We're going to show you this. This is why Mashiach calls them the lost sheep of the house of Israel, because they lost. See? They were Israel by blood, but Gentile by condition. See, but we wouldn't, years ago, we weren't taught like this. We was just so happy that we had something, and we could be a part of something great. That, well, can't nobody, look, no, I know you're a Gentile, so this not for you. He only came for the lost sheep of the house of Israel. See, we didn't even understand what the hell was going on. But we gonna show you in this series who he's talking about. So you can't just look at nobody and say, well, no, you're not Israel because you're not brown enough. Man, go on with that foolishness. So, no Gentiles beyond this point. Violation will result in death. You are responsible for your own fate. So here these people trying to come back. But guess what they done did? They done put a sign up saying that if you a Gentile, you can only go so far in the temple. That never was so. That's not even a law. But this is what and then when you don't understand these type of things that's going on, and you get into this New Testament, that's why so many of them get lost. Because they don't have the foundation that they need. No foreigner may pass beyond this point. That's what they had to sign up that said. Anyone who crosses is responsible for his own death. His blood is on his own head. Right? And that's a part of the sign that they put up. Right? So when the Gentiles court was at, if you went any farther than that, you getting killed. If you come past this, it's on you. Okay? But we always thought that meant white people. This matches the actual stone inscriptions found in 1871 and 1935. See? And guess what? The same people that was running this, because remember Herod had killed off half the Sanhedrin and put his own peoples up in there, which was the Edomites. So they got the same crap going on right now in Israel. Announcement and warning. According to the Torah, it is forbidden for any person to enter the area of the Temple Mount due to its sacredness. The chief rabbinic of Israel. Come on, man. But we don't know these things. It was carved in stone. Placed at the Soreg, the inner barrier, near the mikvaot ritual baths, because that's what Paul even did this to prove it. Because they was like, he was like, how do we know you keep the commandment? You're trying to bring these Gentiles in here. But what did he do? He shaved his head and did it to prove that he kept the commandments. Where Paul purified himself, Act 21. Gentiles could enter the court of the Gentiles, but not beyond the Soreg, the inner sacred zones. This was not Torah. This was Second Temple Pharisaic policy created because Joseph Ephraim had become the nations. Judah could no longer tell who was a true Gentile or a lost Israelite. So they put up the barrier. Paul himself had to take a ritual purification to prove he was law keeping and not defiling the temple, exactly the context of this sign. So before the scattering, Gentiles was not blocked. In Solomon's day, Gentiles could pray toward the temple. Gentiles could come near. Gentiles could worship Yahuwah. Gentiles who were welcome as strangers who fear Elohim. We're going to see the same pattern in Acts chapter 2. When the foreigner comes and prays toward this house, hear him. This is the prayer that Solomon said when he dedicated the temple. There was no Gentile barrier, no limit, no warning sign, no death if you crossed this line. Gentiles were invited. This was not Torah. This was not Moses. This was not commanded by Elohim. See, the coming of the one sent. Let's look at this. Isaiah 61, the Spirit of Yahuwah is upon me, because Yahuwah has anointed me to preach good tidings to the meek. He has sent me to bind up the brokenhearted, to proclaim liberty to the captives, and the opening of the prison to them that are bound. Bound in what? Them Pharisaic traditions? Well, you know what? It's the Sabbath day, so I know you brush your teeth, but you can't gargle because that's work. I mean, all this. Well, if you carry your mat more than 0.5 steps of a mile, then you're in violation. This is what they was captive up under, and they was sitting in darkness because they wasn't keeping the covenant. But again, when you don't understand who was conversating, where they was at, people just like to read. You gotta do research. Okay, let me find out what this means. Where was this gate at? Let me get a map and look at you. Oh, so that's what this thing was going down at. That's what this is. That's what that. Okay, that's them two was talking. Okay. Oh, he's talking to a whole bunch of people. That's how we keep getting tricked. Hebrews and Christians. Because some people got a problem, and they going to have to let that go. Matthew 11, 4 through 6. The blind see, the gospel grope for the wall. The deaf can hear the gospel. Isaiah 42 and 18. Hear you deaf, and look you blind, that you may see. Who is blind but my servant, or deaf as my messenger whom I sent? Who is blind as he who is perfect, and blind as the sovereign servant, seeing many things, but you do not observe, opening the ears, but he does not hear. So this is what the Messiah came to do. He came to open the eyes and pop them ears open so you can hear it. But you had to follow the instructions that was put before you. So Israel was lost in darkness. They was in the world. They grabbed hold to the Torah. They hit that water. Now they got the Spirit. Now they can see eternal life. They just got to keep walking the path and reach for it. That's all it is. That's all it is. So let's look at this. As we showed the blind man at the pool of Siloam, which is G4611. The golden calf made them blind, but the one sent opened the eyes. Yahusha sent from the Father, or washing Yahusha. John 6:29, 38 through 40. You can read them on your own. I can't put everything in here because we'll never get through this lesson. Washed by living water. John 4:11 through 14. Jeremiah 17:12 through 14. This is where we're going to see this word hope, which equals H4723 water. Let's go check it out. Jeremiah 17, O sovereign, the hope of Israel. All that forsake thee shall be ashamed, and they that depart from me shall be written in the earth. You don't want him, you're going to die, because they have forsaken Yahuwah, the fountain of living waters. Okay? Linen yard, look at that, look at that. So this word hope, what do we get out of here? We see this word pool. And then they go to the pool of Siloam. That's where he told him to wash his eyes at. Man, this thing all comes together so beautifully. There's Siloam sent, the pool of Siloam. a fountain of water in Jerusalem, also called Shiloh in Isaiah 8, Genesis 49 and 10. So we see that this is talking about the one that's sent, the king that's coming. That's what John was proclaiming. See? How many times do we read the pool of Siloam and don't even understand what's going on? Because we don't like to do research. Siloam sent one. The blind man is healed by obeying the one who is sent. Siloam proves he is the one sent. When we get to Bethpage, it's going to reveal he is the king. We're going to show you that. Two different phases, two different revelations, same Mashiach. So the lame, how one walks. The lepers, unclean, are cleansed. So here it is now. So he opened their eyes so they could see. He opened your ears. Now he's showing you how to walk this thing, right? And then he's cleaning you up. Jeremiah 31. Yahweh has appeared of old unto me, saying, yeah, I have loved thee with an everlasting love. Well, we know he does, because look at what kind of hold we hold. But he still loves us. Therefore, with loving kindness have I drawn thee. Again, I will build thee, and thou shalt be built, O Virgin of Israel. So that means, O Virgin of Israel, that means something has to change, because we got to have new bodies. Otherwise, you ain't going to be no virgin. You still a hoe. You just repented. Thou shalt again be adorned with thy tabrets. Well, when you get to the kingdom, and shall go forth in the dances of them that make merry. Thou shalt yet plant vines upon the mountains of Samaria. The planter shall plant and shall eat them as common things. Well, now when we plant some, somebody else eats it. But there shall be a day that the watchman upon the mount of Ephraim shall cry, arise ye, and let us go up to Zion unto Yahweh our Elohim. So he's telling, so again, we know by key things, oh Virgin of Israel, you gotta be resurrected and have a new body, right? And we went through that before about death when it belongs a wife and belongs a husband, and all that. But the whole thing is, you just a whole that's repented. So you gotta be resurrected and gave a white robe so that you could be a virgin again. Because we ain't clean enough no matter what we do. Right? Get to the next part. For thus says Yahweh, sing with gladness for Jacob, and shout among the chief of the nation. What? Publicly praise ye and say, O sovereign, save thy people, the remnant of Israel. Behold, I will bring them from the north country, and gather them from the coasts of the earth, and with the blind and the lame, and women with child, and her that travaileth with child. Together a great company shall return thither. So this is, again, here's another thing why we have to study the prophets. So when you get to the New Testament, you understand what's going on, and now can't nobody trick you into no new one. But this is a new thing. No, it ain't no new thing. Not a new thing. There's some things that was renewed, but the covenant has always been here. Now is you just ain't got no animal. You got to go through Hamashiach. The dead are raised and restored. Hosea 6, come and let us return into Yahweh, for he has torn and he will heal us. He has smitten and he will bind us up. After 2 days will he revive us, and in the third day he will what? Raise us up, and we shall live in his sight. Then shall we know if we follow on to know Yahweh. See, that's how we're going to know. We got to follow on to do the things that we have to do so we can know him. His going forth is prepared as the morning. He shall come unto us as the rain, as the latter and former rain unto the earth. That's the best. O Ephraim, what shall I do unto thee? O Judah, he's coming in waves. O Judah, what shall I do unto thee? For your goodness is as a morning cloud, and as the early dew that goeth away. So you know what he's trying to say is like, okay, you come out in the morning, it's cloudy, and then that's 8 o'clock. Then by 11 o'clock, it's sunny. Ain't no clouds nowhere. That's how your righteousness is. It's just that small. It's just that weak. Therefore have I hewed them by the prophets. I have slain them by the words of my mouth, and thy judgments are as the light that goeth forth. For I desire mercy and not sacrifice, and the knowledge of Elohim more than burnt offering, because he never liked it anyway. because the people were so whorish that I got 50 cows, I can keep doing what I want as long as I got these bulls, I can do whatever I want to do. I'll just take it up there to the priest. That was the mindset. See? I mean, once you go through these prophets and you start looking at it, you can see what's wrong with our people. And the poor equals in spirit have gospel preached to them. Psalms 40, but I am poor and needy, yet the sovereign thinketh upon me. Thou art my help and my deliverer. Make no tarrying, O my Elohim. Come on, please, Father, send it. Isaiah 29, the meek also shall increase their joy in Yahweh, and the poor among men shall rejoice in the Holy One of Israel. Isaiah 41, when the poor and needy seek water, and there is none, their tongue faileth for thirst. I, Yahweh, will hear them. Yahweh, Elohim of Israel, will not forsake them. Mm-hmm. I, the Elohim of Israel, will not forsake them. But we got to do it the way he's instructing us. The Spirit of Yahweh is upon me, because he has anointed me to preach the gospel to the poor. He has sent me to heal the brokenhearted, to preach deliverance to the captive, and the recovering of sight to the blind, to set at liberty them that are bruised. I don't see no difference right now. And the worst, and the worst, and as the days keep passing, it's going to be worse than that. It's going to get so bad, y'all. It's gonna get bad. I mean, even criminals. I don't even see how people can be. We watched the thing with this. I'm just gonna say this real quick. These state police pulling over people, and they asking them where they coming from. The man told so all they doing they use the cameras, the flock cameras from when you left home and all the way on your journey. They know exactly that license plate. They can pull it back up. They know exactly where you was at. So they asking them, where you going? I'm going here. Where'd you come from? I came from over there. Are you sure? Are you sure about that? No, I'm positive. Well, I mean, I got you coming out of Houston. What do you mean you got me coming out of? Well, that's where you was. You came out of Houston. In other words, what I'm trying to say is there is going to be no escape. You're going to have Mashiach. And don't think that these people don't know that we up here on this class right now. So he came to comfort for the poor and the needy. Isaiah 41 and 1 through end of the exile. Matthew 5, 4 through 5. So when he said, comfort ye, my people. This is what he came to do. He came to get comfort to the people. The meek of the earth equals, you can look at Psalms 25 and 9, Psalms 37 and 11, Isaiah 61 and 1. Meek, H number 6035, the Hebrew word anav, poor, needy, afflicted, humble, and lowly. So how do we get in this position? By doing what he says, taking the steps that he put out here for us to get the salvation. Now, Isaiah 49, in an acceptable time, I have heard you. You know how y'all move. You don't move right away. Then we just hear the sister and them say that they was waiting on this thing for 4 or 5 years, but when it came, it was everything that they needed, everything that they wanted. So all he was saying is, I heard you, and when I want to hear you, I'm going to hear you. But I hear you at acceptable time. I have heard you. And in the day of salvation, I have helped you. I will preserve you and give you as a covenant to the people to restore the earth, right? So who is he talking about? To cause them to inherit the desolate heritage, that you may say to the prisoners, go forth. To those who are in darkness, show yourself, they shall feed along the roads. Right? So yeah, this is the Father talking about how he's going to give the Mashiach for us. And their pasture shall be on the desolate, all desolate heights. They shall neither hunger nor thirst, neither heat nor sun shall strike them. For he who has mercy on them will lead them, even by the springs of water. Look at that water again. He will guide them. I will make each of my mountains a road, and my highways shall be elevated. Surely these shall come from afar. Look, those from the north and from the west, and these from the land of Sinim. Well, wait a minute, what is Sinim? Because we just got done seeing that the sun went on a far journey, far away, right? Let's look at 2 Corinthians. We then, as workers together with him, beseech you also that you receive not the grace of Elohim in vain. For he says, I have heard thee in the time accepted, and in the day of salvation I have succored thee. Isn't that where he coming from, Isaiah 49? Behold, now is the accepted time. Behold, now is the day of salvation. So Paul is coming straight out of Isaiah 49. We keep seeing, for years, we've been seeing the same pattern. Mm-mm-mm. Now let's look at this. What is Sinner in Isaiah 49? Like I said, we just got done seeing that the prodigal son took off and went off to a far country. Okay, well, he said he's going to gather them from Sinim, and these from the land of Sinim. Sinim equals a far off land at the extreme ends of the earth. So we scattered all over the place. Isaiah is describing how far the scattered ones will return from when the servant Mashiach restores Israel. Many Hebrew scholars say Sinim simply means the farthest reachable place, the ends of the earth. Huh? Sinim equals the farthest scattered regions where Israel's children ended up. Isaiah is pointing a picture of global return, not a specific ethnicity. Because again, we're gonna get to the bottom of this. Because I'm fed up with that. I'm just so tired of it. These folks, Ephraim been scattered amongst the nations for 2,700 years, and he looked like a Negro. Like he been in Asia all these years, and he supposed to look like you. I think he'd be looking like an Asian or something after 2,700 years. Oh man, people got to get their mind right, man. But they got this, but the hatred that was given to them, we giving it back to them, and we got to let that go. Matthew 5. You have heard that it was said to those of old, you shall not murder, and whoever murders will be in danger of the judgment. But I say to you that whosoever is angry with his brother, right, without a cause shall be in danger of judgment. Because right, because the Pharisees and all the house of Judah that was riding with them, they hated these people. And whosoever says to his brother Rakah shall be in danger of the council, but whosoever says you fool shall be in danger of headfire. That's a whole nother lesson. We can get into that, but I'm not ready to do that right now. So this is what we're looking for. We want our names written in that book of life. But you can't do it if you got hatred in your mind. So that's why this thing been bothering me so long. I got to put this class together. Then said the Jews amongst themselves, whither will he go? That we shall not find him. Will he go out unto the dispersed amongst the Gentiles and teach Israel? See, that's that hatred. They hated their brother. They didn't want them coming back. Because in their mind, they polluted. They eat all kind of, oh man, every time you see them, they women out here half naked walking up and down the street. They kill each other for money and all these things. So G number 1290, diaspora. Right? But they got you going to Africa talking about it's come on home, it's the African diaspora. Ain't got nothing to do with you. Of Israelites dispersed amongst the foreign nations. Among the Gentiles, G 1672, they Hellenized. Their mind is they Americanized. You know what I mean? They UK'd a rise, however you want to say it. This is what's happening, right? In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Jews. So people they get stuck on it. Well, see, because we've been told that the Jews is just one whole people, right? That's what they've been. That's what they told us. That the Jews are they are. Well, when I talk to them, I'll be like, well, where's the other 11 tribes at, brother? A rabbi? Where the other ones at? I mean, you said that that you came. The book says when he returns Israel, but it's just y'all. So that should. But see, we don't think. In a wider sense, the name embraces all nations, not Judah, that made the language, customs, and learning of the Greeks their own. So that's Ephraim. That's Joseph all day. The primary reference is to a difference of religion and worship. Thayer's Greek lexicon. Around here we like to use these different interlinear. Hellenize, past tense, Hellenize. Make Greek or Hellenistic in a form or character. Well, we see that they had both. Hellenization has been associated with adoption of modern Greek culture and the ethnic and cultural homogenization of Greece. So when you homogenize something, that means that you take a little bit of this and add it to it, right? It's mindset. So this is what happened to us. That's why they got TV. That's why they got MTV. That's why they got YouTube. That's why they got, so because they homogenizing you every day. You ain't picking up the book, but you getting homogenized. Oh, it's the NBA championship. Yeah, New York, you homogenized. That's basically what it means. Like you like milk. You know, when the raw milk come out the cow, they got to homogenize it. You know what I'm saying? They change the form of it. This is what's happening. So the book of Maccabees, one of the books of the Apocrypha, tells the story of the Jewish revolt. And see, again, I like using different sources to get the information, but you see the trickery. See, Jewish, there is no such thing as ish. Revolt about 150 years before the time of the New Testament. The Greeks, led by Antiochus Epiphanes, conquered the land of Israel and forced the Jews to leave their national heritage and the Torah and begin following Greek culture, which they did because of the Jews' hatred for all things Hellenistic. This is today, or the time of the Mashiach, including the culture and language. Judas Maccabee led the revolt against Antiochus Epiphanes, destroying the Greek and slaughtering those Jews that had adopted Greek language and culture. So we can see this is not a brand new thing. This revolt demonstrates the Hebrew hatred of the Hellenistic culture and the incorrect assumption that Jews freely adopt the Greek language during the time of the New Testament. So we can see that was a hated thing. This divide between the Jews who remain faithful to Torah and the Hebrew culture and those who reject the Torah and adopt the Greek cultures continued to exist in the first century AD. The Jews had adopted the Greek culture and language and were called Hellenes. Oxford Greek Dictionary. The word Hellenes is the word used in the New Testament where it is usually translated as Greek but sometimes Gentile. So this is what these scholars did to confuse you. Because at one time we said, well, I remember a few years ago, well, when it says Gentile in the New Testament, that's not the other nations. That's just all black people. That's all the Hebrews. See, so this thing is going both ways. So let's look at this. But does not refer to native Greeks, but to Jews who have adopted the Greek culture and language. Now they took that and ran with that. Because every time it says Gentiles, see, that's not talking about the nations. That's talking about Israel. Okay, right. But then when you get to the Acts chapter 2, they can't explain that. Let's keep moving. So, John 11, Yahshua said unto her, said I not unto thee that if thou wouldst believe, thou shouldst see the glory of Elohim? Then they took away the stone from the place where the dead was laid. And Yahshua lifted up his eyes and said, Father, I thank thee that thou hast heard me. Then he said, I was going to hear you at an acceptable time. And I knew that thou hearest me always. But because of the people which stand by, I said it, that they may believe that thou hast sent me. Because he's the sent one, right? And when he thus had spoken, he cried with a loud voice, Lazarus, come forth. And he that was dead came forth, bound hand and foot with the grave clothes, and his face was bound with a napkin. Yahshua said unto them, loose him and let him go. Then many of the Jews which came to Mary and had seen the things which Yahshua did believed on him. Uh-oh, but here we go. But some of them went their way to the Pharisees and told them what things Yahshua had done. Then gathered the chief priests and the Pharisees a council and said, what do we? For this man doeth many miracles. We got to get rid of this joker. You see that? So again, even though that's why I be leery about, well, not, I don't want to say that. What I'm saying is we can see the difference. We can see those that was still and they still was blind, they still was lame, and they still was, they was lost. Because as soon as they seen this, instead of them being happy and glow, oh man, this the Mashiach. What they do? They ran and told the Pharisees. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. If we let him thus alone, all men will believe on him. And the Romans, see, this is what they was worried about. And the Romans shall come and take away both our place and our nation. Because they wasn't really caring about the nation, because these jokers were living in palaces. It's no, I'm telling you, it's amazing how today we see the same characteristics in these preachers. They was worried about that. Now, and one of them named Caiaphas, being a high priest that year, same year, said unto them, you know nothing at all nor consider that it is expedient for us that one man should die for the people, and that the whole nation should perish not. Because that's why they don't want the nation, because they want to keep being rulers and they want to keep sucking the people dry. And this spake he not of himself, because he didn't speak that of himself, but being high priest that year, he prophesied that Yahshua should die for the nation. and not for that nation only, but that also he should gather together in one the children of Elohim that were scattered abroad. But then they say, well, where is he going? Is he going somewhere we don't know? Is he gonna go get them other four, them other Hebrews that act like that's Hellenized? Eh? See? Then from that day forth they took counsel together for to put him to death. Yasha therefore walked no more openly among them, but went thence unto a country near to the wilderness, into the what? The city called Ephraim, and there continued with his disciples. This stuff is beautiful. Acts 15. And certain men which came down from Judea taught the brethren, and said, except you be circumcised after the manner of Moshe, you cannot be saved. When therefore Paul and Barnabas had no small decision and disputation with them, they determined that Paul and Barnabas and certain other of them should go up to Jerusalem unto the apostles and elders about this question. And being brought on the way by the church, they passed, or the congregation, they passed through Phoenicia and Samaria, declaring the conversation of the Gentiles. And they caused great joy unto all the brethren. And when they were come to Jerusalem, they were received of the church and of the apostles and elders, and they declared all things that Elohim had done with them. But there rose up certain of the sect of the Pharisees, which believed, saying that it was needful to circumcise them and to command them to keep the law of Moses. And the apostles and elders came together for to consider of this matter. You got to remember, he said, beware of the circumcision or the mutilators. This is what the Pharisees was called. Because they didn't want them coming back to covenant Torah. They wanted them back under the spell and under all these harsh add-ons to the commandments for the people. Because they was living off the people, sucking them dry. Because everywhere the apostles were, they here trying to cause derision. No, you know what? Christ can't see it because they hated him. They didn't even believe. They didn't get immersed. They refused. So that's why he always talked to them in parables, because okay, but then I don't want you to know, because I'm gonna kill you. And when there had been much disputing, Peter rose up and said to them, men and brethren, you know how that a good while ago Elohim made choice among us, that the Gentiles by my mouth should hear the word of the gospel and believe. And Elohim, which know the hearts, bear them witness, giving them the Ruach, even as he did us. And put no difference between, say, that's what I'm saying with these scholars. They should just say dispersed. But they do this for confusion, and put no difference between us and them, purifying their hearts in faith. Now, therefore, why tempt ye Elohim to put a yoke upon the neck of the disciples, which neither our fathers nor we are able to bear? But we believe that through the grace of the sovereign Yahshua Christ we shall be saved, even as they. Then all the multitude, it's a multitude. Remember I told you to watch that word? Because we're going to see all this later. Won't be this class, but it's coming. So when it says multitude, that tells me that's Israel. That's the guard. That is Isaiah chapter 49. That's Joseph. And we're gonna have it's other and gave audience to Barnabas and Paul, declaring what miracles and wonders Elohim had wrought among the Gentiles by them. Let's keep moving. So we see that grace reigns through righteousness, not grace without obedience. But that's what they tell us now, right? I'm under grace. Okay, but you ain't doing nothing. You ain't obedient. Says who? Says who? Most High. And after that, after they had held their peace, James answered, saying, men and brethren, hearken unto me. Simeon had declared how Elohim at the first did visit the Gentiles, to take out of them a people for his name. And to this agree the words of the prophets, as it is written. After this I will return, and I will build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and I will build again the ruins thereof, and I will set it up, that the residue of men might seek after Yahuwah, and all the Gentiles upon whom my name is called, says Yahuwah, who doeth all these things. Known unto Elohim are all his works from the beginning of the world, wherefore my sentence is that we trouble not them which from amongst the Gentiles are turned to Elohim. Okay, so we know there's all kind of people here. But they try to make it like there was no other people around. But Acts 2 tells us different. Peter is quoting the prophets. Isaiah 53, all we like sheep have gone astray. A scattered sheep gathered by the shepherd. My people have been lost sheep. Lo Ami, becoming my people again. These passages describe Israel's covenant scattering, but Peter applies them to everyone Mashiach is restoring, not just one group. That's the shocker, because that's what we've been taught all this. So that's the shock. It's not just one group. It's not just the exiles of Israel that's coming back. It's out of the nations as well. People run around talking about, hey, the Gentiles came. Man, get out of here with that. Peter is writing to a mixed audience. Peter's addressed to believers in, we see Galatia, Pontus, Cappadocia, Asia, and Bithynia. These regions contained scattered Judah, scattered Ephraim, Hellenized Israelites, proselytes, and Elohim fearers, right? Actual Gentiles. So we got everybody that's here, not just a certain group. So when Peter says, you are as sheep gone astray, he's speaking to all of them. Not one race, not one ethnicity, not one exclusive club, as they try to make it. A multitude, just like Acts 2 and Acts chapter 15. We got to keep this in mind. So, Acts 15, wherefore, my sentence is that we trouble not them, which from among the Gentiles are turned to Elohim. They turned, G number 1994, to worship of the true Elohim, to cause, to return, to bring back, to love and obedience of Elohim, to the love for the children, to love wisdom and righteousness. For we were as sheep going astray, but are now returned unto the shepherd and bishop of your souls. That's for whoever will. Like I said, by the time we get done with this, I want somebody to say I can look at a person and know who they are. Yahusha died to restore the fallen tabernacle of David, because you got all kind of people that's in the regular church now. Yeah, there's a whole lot of them. They lost because we supposed to be lost. This comes straight from Acts 15, 16 through 70, but James quoted Amos 9, 11 through 12. After this, I will return and build again the tabernacle of David, which is fallen down, and he applies it to Yahusha's resurrection, the ingathering of the nations, the return of the scattered, the reunification of the divided house. All of that is in there. What is the tabernacle of David? David's united kingdom, Judah plus Israel under one king. When Amos says it fell, he means the kingdom split. Ephraim went north, Judah stayed south. The two houses became enemies. The covenant unity collapsed. So restoring David's tabernacle means restoring the unity of the two houses under one king, Mashiach. But he said he's going to bring the two sticks and make them one. So the two sisters are going to be one stick. So this is Ezekiel 37. This is Hosea 1 through 2, chapters 1 through 2. This is Jeremiah chapter 31. But you got to go read these. All right. So why Yahusha had to die to accomplish this? Because the division between Judah and Ephraim was covenantal, not political. Ephraim was divorced, Jeremiah 3 and 8, scattered, absorbed, identity loss, Lo Ami, not my people. Judah was scattered too, persecuted, preserved, covenant conscious. To restore the two houses, Mashiach had to remove the covenant barrier, Ephraim's divorce, break the hostility between the houses, create one new man, gather the scattered, rebuild David's united kingdom. This required blood, covenant renewal, resurrection power, spirit outpouring. That's why he died. Acts 2 sets the stage for this restoration. Acts 2 had all kinds of people present. Acts 2 is the first wave of Judah, Ephraim, the Hellenized Israelites, proselytes, God-fearers, actual Gentiles, all hearing the same message, all receiving the same spirit, all being gathered under one king. It's all there, right? Right? This is the beginning of the restoration of David's fallen tabernacle. So Acts 15 confirms the restoration is underway. James sees Hellenized Israelites returning, Gentiles entering, Elohim fearers believing, proselytes present, Judas believing in Mashiach. So who is Ephraim? This is what we're going to get to. So we're going to stop right here. Y'all hold on a second. Let me go ahead and stop this. But this is where we're going to come back to when we come back next week. All right. So